You are not unreachable. When reaching stopped having anywhere to land. Opener. Have you ever sent something into a room and felt nothing come back? Not a dramatic room. Not silence after a confession. Just the ordinary room of a day. A message sent. A story shared. A feeling put into words. And what came back was not quite an answer. It was a reaction. A sound that filled the space without landing anywhere near what you actually said. You are more connected than any person in any previous generation has ever been. And still. Part 1. The signal. You send all the time. A message in the morning before you are fully awake. A reply mid-conversation that you compose carefully because you want it to land right. A post that you thought about longer than you would admit. A question asked into a group chat that gets 6 reactions and no answer. You are not disconnected. You have never been more connected in your life. Your phone contains more people than most humans across all of history ever knew. You are reachable at every hour, in every time zone, in real time. And yet there is something that does not quite happen. A conversation that goes sideways into logistics. A moment where you tried to say something real and the response came back lighter than what you sent. A version of yourself that shows up fully and is met by something that skims the surface and moves on. You cannot always name it. It does not announce itself. You finish a call feeling vaguely further away than before it started. You close an app and notice something that is not quite loneliness but sits in the same neighborhood. There is a question underneath all of this that most people never say directly because saying it out loud sounds like an accusation or a complaint. Is anyone actually receiving this? Not reacting, not responding, receiving. That question is heavier than it sounds. And if it is familiar to you, stay with this. Part 2. What changed? There was a version of being in contact with people that felt different. It was slower. It had more waiting in it. A letter that came back weeks later. A phone call that cost something and so was given attention. A conversation at a table where the other person had nowhere else to look. The signal traveled further and arrived somewhere real. This is not nostalgia. It is observation. Something changed in the structure of how people reach each other. And that change happened quietly, over years, until it was simply the water everyone was living in. What replaced depth was volume, more contact, faster, cheaper, easier, a like instead of a reply, a reaction instead of a response, a short voice message instead of a conversation. The form of reaching remained. The substance of it thinned out gradually until reaching became two different things that looked almost identical from the outside, and the places that used to make deeper contact natural, a neighborhood, a congregation, a workplace where people stayed for years, those thinned out too, not dramatically, just enough that the gaps never quite filled in. The platforms that now carry most of human communication were not designed to make you feel heard. They were designed to keep you engaged. Those are different goals and they produce different results. What gets rewarded is not depth. What gets rewarded is speed, volume, frictionlessness, a response in seconds, a thumbs up, a scene receipt, the feeling of contact without the substance of it. And when that becomes the dominant texture of connection across a day, across a week, across years, a person can begin to feel genuinely unreachable without being able to say why. Part 3. The noise. What comes back is hard to name. That is part of what makes it so difficult to explain to someone else. What comes back is noise, reactions, short sentences, emojis that mean warmth but take a second to send, people who are not ignoring you, who mean well, who would say they care, and who are also half present at best, because the same system that is pulling at your attention is pulling at theirs. Everyone is reachable. Almost no one is fully there. You have had a day that was hard in a way that is difficult to explain. You open a conversation and type something real. The reply comes back in 40 seconds, and it is kind, and it is not wrong, and it is also not quite what you needed. There is no version of that exchange where the person did anything wrong, and you still close the conversation feeling like you sent something somewhere and it arrived nowhere. That is not a failure of the relationship. That is the texture of the medium. It does not announce itself as loss. It does not arrive with a name. It accumulates quietly over time, a slow background feeling that you are in the world but slightly off to the side of it, that you are participating and not quite landing anywhere, that you are sending and the signal is going out and the space it enters does not quite have the shape to hold it. Part 4. Someone did hear. There have been moments that were different. A conversation where someone asked a follow-up question that proved they had actually listened. A person who remembered something you mentioned months ago and brought it back without you asking. A silence in a room that was not awkward because the other person was fully with you in it. You know what that feels like. You have not forgotten it, even if it has been a while. Those moments are proof of something important. The signal was always real. You were always sending something worth receiving. The moments where it landed are not accidents or exceptions. They are evidence of what becomes possible when the conditions allow for it. The problem was never that you were hard to reach. The problem was the structure of the space you were sending into. It still happens. Not often enough. Not in the rhythms most people would want. But somewhere in the past months, there was a moment when someone was actually there. A look across a room. A message that arrived at exactly the right time and said exactly the right thing. A conversation that you did not want to end. Part 5. You are not unreachable. The feeling of being unheard was never evidence that you were unworthy of being heard. It was not a sign that you ask too much, or that your signal is too complicated, or that the version of connection you are looking for is unrealistic. The gap between what you sent and what came back was not a gap in you. It was a gap in the medium, in the structure, in the conditions that make real receiving possible. You have been sending something real all along. Every message that felt like it went somewhere it was not quite received. Every conversation that ended with the feeling of having tried. Every moment where you put something of yourself into a space and the space was not quite shaped to hold it. The signal was always real. It did not stop being worth sending because the infrastructure stopped being built for it. I do not know how long you have been sending into spaces that do not quite receive you. I do not know how many conversations you have left with that particular feeling of having almost connected and not quite. I do not know how long it has been since someone was fully there with you in the way that makes you remember what it is supposed to feel like. But I know this. The problem was never that you are hard to reach. You are not unreachable. The signal just has nowhere to land. And understanding that is different from fixing it. But it is the first honest thing that can be said about it. Closing. I have a version of this too. Conversations I leave with that quiet feeling of having been in the room and not quite in the room. People I care about who I send things to and who send things back, and where something in the middle does not quite close. I am still figuring out the conditions that make real receiving possible. I have not solved it. If this is familiar, you do not have to explain it. If you want, just leave one word below. Not for me, but as a sign for the person scrolling after you, who thinks the feeling of being slightly off to the side of everything is something wrong with them.
I thought you heard me, the words were there. The silence wasn't I watch them leave,
I watch them land,
somewhere close,
but never where
I meant them to. It's a strange feeling,
to leave a conversation,
carrying the same thing
you brought into it.
I've been sending
Pieces of myself,
across the distance,
hoping they would land,
not looking for answers,
not looking to be saved,
just hoping
someone would stay long enough to really hear my name.
Sometimes the reply arrived almost instantly,
Kind enough,
thoughtful enough,
and still something inside me
knew
we had passed each other without meeting.
I stopped wondering
If people cared,
and started wondering
if they could hear what I was really saying.
I've been sending
Pieces of myself,
across the distance,
hoping they would land,
not looking for answers,
not looking to be saved,
just hoping
someone would stay long enough to really hear my name.
then someone listened
Without rushing,
without fixing
without filling,
the silence.
and for the first time in longer than I could remember,
I didn't feel
like I had to translate myself.
maybe,
The signal was never weak,
maybe
it was always finding its way.